The Chris Watts case and the explosion theory. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's me, Prairie Boy 77, aka Mr. Share, aka the Beard of Reason, aka the Voice of Reason. And I think it's high time the Voice of Reason talked about the explosion theory. Because I've been hearing about this a lot, and a lot of people are believing this or thinking this, and I'm going to explain to you why this isn't feasible. Alright, so first let's run down what the plan was. From what I've gathered it varies. A lot of people believe different things. The first thing I want to say is some people were thinking he was going to use this fire stick to cause the explosion. These people haven't even Googled what a fire stick is. It's just a little thing that plugs into your TV. It's not powered. It's not a detonator. Can't be configured to be a detonator. That's ridiculous. Okay, but let's get on to the main theory. So the idea was, from what I've gathered from most people, like I said, it varies a lot, but Chris leaves for work. Shanann is enraged by the divorce or the affair with Nicole Kessinger, whatever. She decides to pack up the kids and head out to cervi 319 to confront Chris. While she's there, somehow an explosion occurs, killing her and the children, and somehow Chris is okay. Now, I think the main reason that this got any traction at all was the 2017 Anadarko explosion. Now, that was an apple, this is an orange. And I'm just going to break this down for you. That explosion happened because of a cut flow line that was leaking propane and methane into the basement of that home through what's called French drains. So it was kind of like a perfect storm of a bunch of things that had to be just wrong for the basement to fill with vapors, and the plumbers working in there, as soon as they, hit their torch or did something to cause a spark, boom. Now, that was gas. Vapors leaking up through the ground into the house. Causing an oil tank to explode is very, very different. A lot of you don't know this, probably almost none of you, but Prairie Boy used to be a firefighter. And being that I'm on the prairies, we did have to take a course about oil field stuff. A lot of it was common sense, like you can't spray water on an oil fire, won't work. You have to use some sort of additive, most likely AFFF, which is aqueous film forming foam, that smothers the fire. So now I'm not going to sit here and say that no oil tanks have ever exploded, but the number of times where they exploded without a fire first and exploded instantly are very, very, very low. Now, some of you may not know this, I'm sure a lot of you do, but it isn't the actual liquid that's flammable, it's the vapors that come off the liquid that are flammable. That's why you can put a cigarette out in a jar of gasoline, because it's not enough to ignite the vapors. And once it's in the liquid, it just extinguishes it. Now, the reason I bring that up is because the vast, vast majority of oil tank explosions happen when the tanks are empty and there's nothing but vapors in there. That's when they are actually the most volatile. If the oil tank is full, it's almost completely fireproof. So here's what would have had to have happened for this explosion to have taken place. There's really only one way to cause an instant explosion to the point where Shanann and the girls and Chris couldn't have gotten away from it before it exploded. And that would have had to have been using something like C4 or Semtex on the outside of the tank, blowing a hole in the tank, causing a rupture, and then possibly causing a fire after that. That's not even guaranteed. So, it's not a feasible plan. So for those people saying he took the gas can from the garage in the truck because he was going to set the tanks on fire and that was going to cause an explosion, you'd need more than that little bit of gas. The only way to cause that would be to have a fire burn so hot and so long that it actually compromised the structure of the tank, causing what's called a blevy. Then after that, you have an explosion. The explosion happens instantly after that, obviously, because the liquid and the vapors are expelled out, they catch the fire, and boom. That's when you have the explosion. But there has to be a fire first. So Shanann, well, no human being would drive up to a burning oil tank. It would be highly unlikely Chris would be able to get the tanks to explode. And even more unlikely that if he did somehow get them to explode, he would survive it. And even more unlikely that they could make this look like it was some kind of freak accident. Even if Chris was coming to repair a leak that required welding or some kind of grinding or hot work, that doesn't ever happen on an oil site without the tanks being emptied and vented. Does not happen. Cannot happen. There's nobody would do that. Now I know this because I've worked in an oil refinery. We were repairing roads, and the paver uses flames to heat a plate on the bottom of it to help compress the asphalt as we're moving along. We couldn't even have that on. Like, there is no hot work done when there are full tanks around. None. So there'd be no welding, no grinding, nothing of that sort. Absolutely not. So there's no way he could feasibly have accidentally caused this explosion. But also, I mean, the really glaring thing that pops up for me is, well, if that was his plan, he was out at cervi, why didn't he try it? Now, people say Shanann's flight being delayed caused the problem. Well, no, because Chris was set to go out there first thing in the morning. So it didn't matter what time Shanann got home. As long as he did the job with her and the children before then, which he did, it didn't matter. He would still have had to have left the house at the same time in the morning, and someone would have had to drive Shanann's car shortly after. It still would have had to happen at the same time anyway. So it didn't matter that her flight was delayed. That didn't change the plan. This was not a plan. Now, we have to take what Chris actually says with a cubic meter of salt. But he did say about the gas can thing that he was thinking maybe he'd set himself on fire. I don't really believe that. I think possibly he was thinking about setting his family on fire. And maybe himself. I don't know. But yeah, the oil tank thing, even if that was a plan, it wouldn't have worked. There's no way it would have worked. He could not have done this to make it look like an accident. It would have immediately pointed the blame at him. So maybe that's why he decided not to do it. He realized it wouldn't work. Who knows? But yeah, the explosion theory is definitely, it's impossible. He can make it look like tanks suddenly exploded. He happened to be far enough away while his wife and kids weren't. I mean, there's just way too much working against it there. 1 in a million chance that he could get away with it that way. Now, some people will say, well, Chris would have needed more time to set things up to, get the oil tanks to explode and whatnot. And on that, I agree. He definitely would have. But, I mean, when something explodes, doesn't mean all evidence is deleted. They would have figured it out quite quickly. It was him. But, yeah, to sum up, oil tanks can't just explode on their own. Not without something very intentional being done, and it would be very obvious after the fact. Nobody would just drive up to a burning oil tank unless you're a firefighter and it's your job. I certainly wouldn't do it if you had kids in the car. It's a lot harder to get oil tanks to explode than people think. That 2017, that was a completely different thing. That's apples and oranges. Oh, and I probably should mention I'm still wanting more people to email me if they want to be involved in the documentary. I'm sure you already know what that's all about, but in case you don't, deep diving into these cases is like dancing with the devil. But when you dance with the devil doesn't change. He changes you. Email will be in the description below. And that's it. So thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Join the team if you're feeling frisky. And we'll catch you on the next one. And until then, this is Prairie Boy 77 saying good day, good night, and Godspeed.